We're here today to talk about the way that we manage fire on ACT government land, some of the acronyms that you might hear in the media or elsewhere, and go into some of the details about the way that we work together, both within the Environment Division in the ACT government and across government further with ESA and RFS.
So in a fire context, the ESA is responsible for the suppression of all fires in the ACT. Parks and Conservation are primarily our land managers. So they're responsible for the upkeep of all the parks and reserves across the ACT. And part of that responsibility includes managing fire on their land.
TOBAN, so that's an acronym for Total Fire Ban, and that occurs on days where the fire danger is really high.
I think the most important thing the community needs to realise is that this is a heightened day, and if we do get an ignition, we generally will have trouble suppressing that. So it could turn into a large fire. So that's why we have a total fire ban, is to reduce the potential for ignitions in the landscape as much as we can.
When we declare a TOBAN, we generally close the parks estate.
And that applies to staff as well. Apart from firefighting staff, generally other government staff are out of the park on those days as well.
FDR is fire danger rating. So throughout the bushfire season, we have fire danger ratings issued based on the potential danger of that day. And that's really looked at suppression and how well we could potentially suppress a fire if a fire was to ignite on that day.
And you might be familiar with this. You'll see the signs around Canberra all around Australia, which is those, low to moderate, extreme, those sorts of indicator, or you'll see, like a dial that's around the towns, and that will tell you what the current fire danger rating is.
This is a really interesting one. So prescribed burning is a land management technique, and we do it for a range of purposes. A backburn is something that is a fire suppression technique, and the way that that's employed, or try to light a burn in front of the fire so that we can reduce its intensity and hopefully stop its spread.
Prescribed burns, the word prescribed, we're planning to do it. So it's a planned burn in which we have a range of objectives, and we can have more than one. Often they'll be about reducing fuel loads so that the bushfire risk is less in that area for a period of time. There may be an ecological objective as well, so an ecological burn or a cultural objective. And sometimes we have all of those objectives rolled into one, and that's kind of a win-win-win, if you like.
Grass curing is a measure of how dry the grass is at any one point in time. It is monitored on a weekly basis. There are up to 20 different plots located across the ACT where we go out and we take measurements of the grass curing, the grass fuel load, and the continuity of the fuels. And all of that helps us to build a picture of the grass fire risk in those areas.
The Strategic Bushfire Management Plan is the overarching document that looks at how we are reducing risk as a territory to bushfire.
And as part of achieving that strategic objective, EPSDD, the Environment Directorate if you like, which includes parks, develop a 5 to 10 year regional fire management plan, or RFMP. It's really about having a strategic perspective and looking at the whole landscape and planning all of our bushfire management activities across that landscape in a way that achieves all of our objectives.
So the BOP is the Bushfire Operations Plan.
And all land managers in the ACT are required to have a bushfire operations plan underneath the emergencies legislation.
So the ESA approved the BOPs, the Commissioner approves all of the BOPs across the ACT, and ACT Rural Fire Service, we audit the BOPs.
We undertake all of these activities to try to strike a balance between managing the landscape bushfire risk and maintaining all the values that we want from the land that we manage, that the community wants from the land that we manage. This summer, well, hopefully it'll keep raining. It's been raining hard so far, and if it does keep raining, it will not be one of those really bad years.